just a good old boy.
Hey y'all, well, I lost the first part of this video, me explaining what went on here, so I'll explain it now because I'm talking about why we don't have as many Deutz's anymore. That'll be a different discussion for a different day. So I'm working on the manifold on this tractor. What happened was when we bought this tractor, somebody had run this tractor evidently into a tree limb or something and broke the manifold on this thing, and run the exhaust pipe into it, or muffler, and broke it. And we didn't know it, and I don't even think the dealer knew it, and or even noticed it, because you couldn't really tell it when we first got it, other than if you didn't really get down in there and look around it. And it broke, I think last year. It broke, and we had to get it welded back on, because that's what the previous owners of the tractor did, and we could not find. I tried to find, I think I tried to find a new one last year for it, or a used one from a junkyard, and that's one thing I'm talking about, is trying to find parts for these things. Couldn't find one, and wound up, and we took it, and that was reasonably priced anyway. We took it and had it re-welded back on. Well, we didn't take it all the way off. They just pulled the hood off and kind of tried to weld around it real quick because we were in a hurry, and it didn't hold. So what I'm winding up doing here is taking the top half of this manifold off to have it re-welded again, and hope it holds, because the only place you can get parts for these older Deutz's is through junkyards. I've tried calling Deutz now that they're back in the country, and they only carry the basic stuff, like the more general wear parts, not any of your major parts. If you need any major parts or anything like an abnormal, like say the tachometer cable that I think last year I made a video on that. I was wanting to replace it. It was outrageous what the junkyard had asked me for one, and I just said the heck with it and left it alone. And it'd be the same thing with this thing. That's one. And what I'm trying to say here is get through it all. That's the reason why we don't have a lot of Deutz's anymore, is because we used to have more Deutz's than Massey Ferguson's. Believe it or not, because they're really good tractors. But the problem is getting parts, because the dealer, Deutz itself, Deutz Corporation, ever since Deutz North America, or Deutz Alice North America split off from Deutz and formed AGCO, Deutz itself has been in and out of the country several times, and you can't get parts for these tractors. And they've also changed ownership of Deutz far, and it's a completely different owned company now. And it's difficult to get parts for these older ones. The newer ones, you can get parts for, but who knows if they're going to leave again. So that's one reason why we don't look at that maybe more into an option. So here we go. Now we got to try to get these out, and that is going to be fun. Oh no. I sprayed this with Freol, so y'all know I love this stuff. It works really good. Oh, it's turning. It's turning. Now that I got it broke loose, let's put the ratchet wrench on if it'll fit. Yep, there we go. Hopefully I can get all these loose and just pull this thing off.
Any knots on?
I'm working on it.
Huh?
I'm working on it.
I don't know if you got any break loose.
I got one loose. I'm letting it soak. Oh, it's the half. Where'd 13 go?
Ah, that down. That's luck. Hope it all come loose. Just get that thing off there.
There's 2 off. These back ones are going to be a little more tricky, especially that one hiding right there. Oh, here it comes. But that's why we don't have hardly any more Deutz. We used to have 3 of these things. I think at one time we had 3. It's 2 or 3. It's half Massey Ferguson and half, or actually it was more Deutz's at one time than there was Ferguson's on the farm. Only Ferguson we had at one time was a 383, and we had 2 Deutz's and the McCormick, and we had a John Deere, and I had something else. Oh, Mahindra. Had a Mahindra. Had a Mahindra. Boy, how things have changed. Look at all that red. which AGCO is basically the old Deutz Alice Corporation anyway. And you can see that a lot in their tractors. The Massey Ferguson tractors, to me, really aren't Massey Ferguson tractors. I know y'all probably know what. They're actually more like the AGCO tractors that were being built than they are Massey Ferguson. In a lot of ways, they're exactly the same tractor. They kind of took both and combined them. I know better than doing that. And formed, made 2 of the same thing. And then they went to making just Massey's and quit building the AGCO brand, which a lot of people were sore about. A lot of people like the AGCO tractors, which to me, they wasn't any different, so didn't really matter to me. Some people like AGCO orange over the red. I prefer red personally. That's because red's my favorite color. Maybe in luck. That's just me personally. And a Georgia Bulldog colors, no. Which is always a good thing. But just hopefully I can get this, because if I keep, we're gonna try to weld this thing back, because if I had to buy this thing, it's gonna cost the arm and the leg. Now I've got to get these 2 bolts out right here, which I'm hoping they won't be as bad. Alright, I got that one over there out. Now I'm trying to get this one out, but the unfortunate part is it ain't moving, and the head is. So I'm scared to death that this one's gonna break, and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's just moving away in there. Yep, there it goes. Broke. Nothing I can do about it. Yep, there it is. Damn. I hate that, because that thing is gonna be a hill to get out. Take this off. There. Pull this up. There it is. Yeah, it's still got the gasket on it. But that's it. See how bad it looks. Not good. That's supposed to go like that. There it goes up. There it goes that way. Yep. That's how that thing's supposed to look right there. Well, at least we got it off. But this spray I was using is Free All. This is the spray that Turbo Towel sent me. I had 2 bottles of this stuff. I used the first bottle really quick, and this last bottle I've been hanging on to it as long as I can, just using it on the worst stuff. I mean, you see what it did with those. It just took them right off. And that other one was the only one that broke, and I don't know, when I first grabbed a hold of it and started turning, and it felt weird. So it may have already been partially broke. Let's look at the bolt. Yeah, it had a crack in it already, because you can see the rust right there. So it was already pre-cracked. And right there on the edge, it's a little bit over into it. And look at it focus right there. So it was already just a little bit cracked. So that's probably why it broke. But that stuff works really, really good. The same company that makes Turbo Towels makes that. Really good stuff if you want to try some of it. They ain't paying me or nothing like that. I've had that stuff for a long time. Show y'all the 1840. I mounted the hay preservative applicator on this thing here the other day. It's the first time I've used this thing in 2 years. The first year I made it, and the following year, or it may not have been 2 years, it's probably been 1.5 years since I've used it. That's probably, yeah, 1.5 years, because I used it, let's see, we got this baler last year in June or July, and I had used it in April with the 1837. So it's been a 1.5 years since I've used this thing. And I hadn't mounted it on this one because I hadn't needed it. And the way this year has been going, I'm probably going to need it. I ordered some preservative. I've got a little bit left in there, but I've ordered some, and I've got it coming for us to use. I've got to put a new little valve right here. That one there was leaking. I had to clamp it off. Now this is the non-corrosive preservative. I don't run the corrosive kind, so it won't eat up the equipment or do any damage. I've never run that kind through this thing, but a lot of people, this thing has sparked so much interest ever since I built it. And I was watching the second video the other day, and it really didn't show. I did a terrible job filming that. You couldn't see anything. It was like, boy, I was looking back, I was like, damn, I was a rookie at the camera then. But the spray bar, there's some adapters and stuff that went on with that thing, and that I had to rig up with the new tips that went in it, and just a bunch of different stuff I had to do with this thing to get it to put down the right amount, because the second video I made, it had those orange tips, I think, in it. You cannot use those on this. It's way too much flow, which I said in there that you had to get the tips, and I had them ordered from Agco. Now these tips that are in here, if you look, are silver, or they're stainless, and they're threaded on this end. And then I had to buy an adapter off of Amazon to screw on a regular T-valve nipple port to fit it, and they are brass, and they screw right on there, and then those screw into it. These are really fine tip, really fine tip. And that was probably the biggest pain, was finding those adapters, and I found them on Amazon. Don't ask me what the part number, the number on it, product number was, or none of that. I do not remember. I was just Googling it and searching, and I finally found them, and they had them on Amazon. And that was the only place I found those. It was almost, it almost come to a screeching halt just over that one thing, because all the tips for these systems are threaded. They're not those little kind that drops down in the cap and screws on like most, or like a lot of the smaller sprayers have. These are threaded and screw up into piece, and you cannot hardly find that at a regular place. Never put the electric valve on it. Don't need it. It's just a waste of time. If it's over 20 something percent, 23%, I don't spray it, because it comes too costly to apply that stuff, if you ask me, across an entire field or something like that. And you're not going to get out and change tips throughout the day. I mean, you're just not going to do that. I mean, it's stupid. So you put the tip in and then run it. And if I've got to put over, I think it's 23% is the next tier up to the next nipples or tips. It's just I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bail it. I'll just roll it or let it dry for another day and try to get it out that way, because at that point it's just too much. It's not worth it. And the bales are really heavy at that point, and it's just not worth it. So there it is, mounted up. I mounted it just like I did the other one. I got that hose clamp on there to keep that drip from that valve leaking. I got to go get one of those. I'm hoping that pump still works, because it has been sitting for a year and a half, and with that stuff in it, you never know. Really, I should have washed that pump out with water, and then when I got done. But it's hard with the way the system is, and with fluid still in the tank, it's hard to be able to do that. I haven't seen it. I've done this, let it sit for a while before, and it didn't have any effect. So hopefully it'll all work. But I am going to be needing it probably this fall, unless this weather stays like it's at. The hurricane's coming through. Winds have been blew pretty decent yesterday, and then today it's been blowing regularly all day. Okay, so day 2 on the manifold. Sent it to machine shop. That's kind of what they had to work with. This thing had been welded twice, has a ton of weld on it, holding everything on, and he basically had to try to take all that off and then try to re-weld it. I don't know if this is gonna hold or not, but it's worth a try anyway. So we're gonna stick it on here. I'm not crazy about this at all, but I don't even want to know what trying to find another one will cost, because it's probably going to be, all right, y'all are gonna be looking down on this thing, but it's the only place I could figure out to put this camera where y'all could see something. So we gotta drop this thing back on here. Gasket's still on there, and it didn't damage it, so I really don't have much faith in this at all, to be quite honest. I don't think it's gonna last long, but I've been wrong before. I just don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way anything to do with it. There goes my Freon. I don't like nothing to do with this. It's not my kind of fix. But what do? It's cast. There's not a whole lot we could do to fix it without replacing it. And like I said, you can't hardly find this stuff to replace it. And you can't but this is can't be everything. Some fresh part having put that it works so on me. Same with this thing, and then we'll do that with I still work with my mentor here. I still work. Okay, now we're you we're trying to make kind of you go right at this. Don't hesitate. Alright, now we gotta put the pipe on. works. Let's get it on there now. I've got to. This is the trouble when you're dealing with shit that's just rigged together. The pipe's been welded back onto another piece of pipe to fix the bottom part that come loose, and it's just it's just a crap show if I've ever seen one. Lord have mercy. This thing needs completely a new muffler, a new top half of the manifold. Good Lord. Oh man, let me pull this thing up. I gotta try to get in here, hooked to the pipe with a spring. This is the way they designed these things, was to have a spring hold the pipe down rather than a clamp, because you have to take the hoods up on these sometimes to get in here. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's ignorance. The way they designed this crap back then. It's just ignorance. I only got it on there. This is what I have to deal with. Let's see if I can show you all this without messing anything up. I can't even get it up in there. Right up in there. I don't know if y'all can see. Wait a minute. Come on, camera. There we go. I don't think y'all can see anything, but there is a spring hook right there, and that thing has to run all the way back down underneath there and then hook down here on this bracket here. So I've got to try to get that hook now. This is the biggest pain in the butt. To get hooked up right. Especially with this oddball spring on it I've ever seen. And that's how that pipe is held on. And it makes you wonder why the cast keeps breaking. It's because the pipe flops around everywhere. Or it has vibrations in it anyway. I shouldn't say it flops around everywhere, because it don't, but it has vibrations in it that makes all that move around. There it is, finally back together and put on. Let's crank the old girl up, see if she's gonna leak. Knock her out of gear, pull the parking brake on, make sure it's out of gear because I don't want to get run over. There it is. Trying to see if I can see any smoke leaking out of it. Gasket. I don't see nothing. I don't see anything. This is 3-cylinder. A lot of these Deutz engines, a lot of them I think was 3-cylinders. At least the two we had was. Air-cooled 3-cylinder, there's no radiator. Right there's your fan, blows the air back in there. And inside of here, get these clips off and undone. Ah darn it, as soon as you undo one of these things, the other one falls right back in the hole and you can't get it out. You need 2 hands to undo it. Of course, I got a camera in one of them. There we go. Take the side of the engine off, or air cool box. There you go. That's the fan that blows. There's the inside of it. That's the way a Deutz air-cooled engine looks. Just like that. They don't have a radiator, they don't have nothing. You have to blow that out too, to keep any buildup from getting in there. Alright, so I got the pipe back on, everything mounted back where it's supposed to be. I gotta blow all this out. I've got a crap load of stuff to do too today besides this that involves putting, getting ready to go cut hay. Tomorrow, we got a 45-minute drive with the trucks just to get hauling, just to get to where we're going. Be the last field of first cut. Finally, we'll be done with first cut. Here it is, second week or whatever of second or third week of September, and we're finally getting done with first cut. Wow. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So we're gonna go now. I've got to go rebuild a hydraulic cylinder, so we'll do that right quick.